I come here with some bit of information about a project that has helped our organization. We are the Feeder Associations of Alberta. One of the openers that I used once before is, you ever hear the term, a light is faster than sound? Everybody's heard that term before. So when somebody walks up to the stage and they look extremely bright and then they start to speak, they're not so much so. I hope I defy that statement by a little bit. So anyway, I am quite loud, aren't I? Sorry. Basically, we want to move on to figure out how this works. There we go. So, who are we? The Feeder Associations of Alberta. We're an umbrella organization that advocates on behalf of our 55 co-ops and 3,000 active members. And our feeder co-ops provided in the last year approximately $225 million in feeder cattle financing. And in some way, shape, or form, the feeder associations finance about 20% of the calves in Alberta. So on behalf of the 55 co-ops, we also manage a livestock indemnity trust death loss program for our co-ops, group insurance for general liability directors and officers, and a bonding program we have for our co-ops. And we also provide PPR, personal property registry searches and that for our co-ops as well. In addition, we also deliver a federal program, advanced payments for beef cattle in Alberta, to about 800 producers, totaling about $35 million annually. And there's also attached to that a interest rebate program for feeder loans, thanks to the advanced payments as well. So while we're small and we do serve a lot of people and we do a number of things, but we're a bit, technologically we're disjointed. You know, when you listen to Dave Plett's presentation regarding his use of technology and how advanced they are, we're dealing with a very different group. Economics of scale aren't there, they're very different. So we look at our 55 co-ops with numerous bookkeeping methods, no consistent reporting systems. I mean, you got 55 individual organizations out there. No consistent methods to handle RFID data. I mean, right now, anything over 1,000 head is mandatory move-in data to CCIA. So there's no efficient way or system at all to manage all those different facets together in one system approach. So, and there's more and more reporting requirements coming online now as we look at some new features that I'll talk about further on. Whoa, okay. So before I get into Feeder Association Management 2.0, I mentioned earlier, we deal with a number of the co-ops and their members, 3,000 members. They're all smaller primary producers. They're not the technologically advanced people, although some of them have different levels of technology in their operations. They're mostly less than 1,000 head operations, although some are bigger. But on the average, the most are well below 1,000 head a year. And again, just not technologically as capable as we were talking, as the presentation before that. So we're trying to fill that gap in providing, we're providing financing and other services, but we also have to manage our businesses and support our members as well and help them meet the needs of 2011 and going onward. So one of the main objective is to encompass all the business needs of our co-ops in general, of our provincial office, meeting the reporting requirements of the regulatory bodies, being Regulatory Services Division, which supports our organizations via a government guarantee on the loans. CCIA, of course, the move-in data, and providing information needed to our banking, cooperating bankers. Agri-Foods Canada versus, in addition to the advanced payment program, and others, of course, that we connect with on an ongoing basis. We also need to, in the future here, we want to connect with LIS and the auctions utilizing the new electronic manifests that are just in a pilot project right now. And we want to look at it as a full system approach. So we very early in the project recognized the need to capture, transfer, and utilize all this information in electronic formats in order to be anywhere as efficient and improve the business efficiencies for all of our partners involved. And it must be a single entry system. Every time you have someone manually enter data, your error rates climb up and then the system basically comes undone. So usually we're going to base it on current and future RFID technologies. We heard about some of the work that Dave Moss is doing at LIS with high frequency tags. We want to be able to utilize whatever information whatever identity information we can get our hands on and use it as a basis for building our system. One of the things that we did get started on going forward assisted us over the course of the summer. All of our co-ops will have access to wand readers to be able to capture RFID data as they process cattle before they enter the members' feedlots. So we started out with a needs assessment, and it pointed out that various information requirements of the cooperating partners, they all require various pieces of information. So we've got to provide an information transfer to meet the needs and also have some room to meet future needs, and that being some of the value-added groups that we're now working with. The local feeder associations are concerned with the future needs. I mean, we're layering on top new levels of services to our members, but we really don't have a system to manage them efficiently, and over time it's going to become very burdensome for these small co-ops to manage their membership. Big thing is, you know, being able to transfer that information efficiently. Dave talked a little bit about it, and you know, trying to move the information around, make some use out of it. It's got to provide value, otherwise gathering it is kind of pointless. So you're trying to provide value to the partners involved. So you have to be able to move it relatively seamlessly and provide that information to only the people who need it. Really, CCIA doesn't care what weight the cattle are, but regulatory services needs to know that. And you know, that's just one simple example, but the examples could go on with the various bodies. And actually I have a really good diagram here that shows how daunting a task that really is. I don't know if many of you can see that. I guess the screens are big enough. But that basically is a snapshot of all the nodes, I use that term nodes, that feeder association members and cattle producers in general have to have some degree of contact with as they operate their businesses and work with the feeder associations. And you can see that there's a lot of places for bits of information need to go that are important to various parties. So without some sort of automated system, you can see very well that it would be a pretty tough task. So I was talking about some of the new features coming to our feeder association program. We talk about requiring a consistent management system based on information capture and be able to flow that information to the necessary people. We're talking about equity draws as the members feed their cattle. We never did that before. Draws on partial sales as members feed the cattle. Before, they used to have to pay off the loan before they got any equity out. Now the provision is going to be in place this fall that they can draw cash as they sell the cattle, not having to pay off the loan entirely, only pay off on a pro rata basis. You know, higher limits. As you escalate the limits, you increase the level of management required to make sure nothing goes wrong. You know, 4 contracts per member, so now you're dividing the $500,000 limit over 4 groups of cattle, again, increasing the management requirements and the requirements for good information, solid information. And then you take a look at the more sizable operations where you have multiple members at a given feedlot. You could be managing several thousand cattle owned by 15 members, for example, in one feedlot. Again, ratcheting up the requirements to having to have a very sound management system. So just a quick overview is, as we look at purchasing the feeder animal, you know, we look at the LAS manifest or e-manifest. We need an auction mart or dealer invoice. We're capturing RFID info, reporting that to CCIA or CLTS. With the premise ID, we have to report to Regulatory Services Division, and we have to update the loan records. Right now, all those things are happening in one way, shape, or form relatively manually. Some of the bookkeeping is done on computers, but it's still a relatively archaic manual system to do a lot of these things. During the feeding period, we have to monitor inventory. I mean, this is all bank security. We're lending money. This is important. We have to administrate the equity draws on a monthly basis. We have to make sure we account for any sales or death loss as we go along, and retire RFID tags in the case of death loss. Monthly reporting, again, to Regulatory Services. That's an ongoing commitment we have with our partner Regulatory Services. And as the members sell off their cattle, again, we're monitoring inventory balances. We have to report to move-outs, which at the present time is an option, but we really want to integrate that into what we do with the feeder association cattle is to account for the move-outs, account for any draws on partial sales and make sure there's no mistakes there. The loans get paid off and the cattle are accounted for. Any changes in inventory, any changes in dollars have to be reported to Regulatory Services. Again, I'm trying to paint a picture of how complex this can really be. And you need to have accurate current information to make business decisions as you go along. So some of the new tasks that we're asking, again, of this, of the Feeder Association Management System is to deal with the supply chains. Just recently, we have engaged in talks with a couple of different supply chain organizations that are carrying the livestock right from the feedlot through to the receivables. And feeder associations are going to begin financing that entire process right to the receivables. So again, thanks to Alma on that project. We're going to be integrating the MIST system, which is a meat inventory tracking system that many of the smaller supply chains have now adopted to manage their inventory of beef as it moves through the system. Again, that was another Alma project. And you look at how these things stack together, it's giving this industry a lot of opportunity for innovation. You know, the ability to follow inventory from feedlot to boxes to receivables, probably something very difficult to do unless you have a very good robust information system that can follow that through. And again, we want to meet the needs of these and other new ventures. Special projects, we're engaged in a half a dozen projects. Each of them require a different degree of management. And I mean, Dave made the point that branding is not a very popular issue anymore. Feeder Association cattle still have to be branded to meet the security requirements of our lenders. We want to be able to move away from that quickly. And having this system in place to be able to manage those RFID tags is going to give us that opportunity over the next couple of years. So the bottom line for this project is basically we're talking about timely, consistent management with seamless information flow. Sound a bit dreamy? We don't believe so. We believe it can be done. Provide consistent, accurate reporting to all the partners and regulatory bodies. Again, we see the reporting all over the map. This is big business, and this is 2011. We can't have that anymore. We want to be able to provide consistent, timely business reporting. And the ability to assist in disease tracking, and I guess this is via having the current moving information at CLTS to support that side of it as well. And I guess the last one is endless possibilities for anonymous data mining. You know, we feed about 350,000 cattle through our program every year. There's endless amounts of data that can be aggregated from that. So I guess at the end of the day, this project wouldn't have happened without Alma support. And like we said earlier, Dave made some great points about the ability to do it en masse in one project versus piecemealing a bunch of pieces together and not really getting to where you want to go just because you can't afford to do that in one fell swoop. So again, we very much appreciate Alma's support, and if you have any questions, thank you very much.